The deadline, last week's deadline, was when everyone involved was supposed to tell the judge what evidence they wanted to keep sealed or what portions should be redacted from the materials Justin Baldoni filed with his motion for summary judgment.
Simple, right?
You snooze, you lose. But then today, Blake essentially tells the judge, "Hey, I forgot to add these documents." And the internet collectively went mad again. Blake has reportedly known about this evidence since November. Months, not days. Not hours, months. So how does something like that slip your mind when deadlines in court are not suggestions, but commandments? And more importantly, what does this mean for the case going forward? Let's break it down slowly, clearly, and with just enough curiosity to keep you leaning forward in your chair. If you've ever turned in homework late and tried the classic "sorry, I forgot" excuse, you already understand why this situation feels off. In everyday life, forgetting something is human. We forget birthdays, passwords, why we walked into a room. But in court, deadlines are sacred. Judges set them for a reason: fairness, efficiency, and keeping cases from spiraling into chaos. When a deadline passes, it usually signals closure on that phase of the case. Everyone involved relies on that timeline to prepare their next moves. Lawyers strategize. Judges review. Opposing parties respond. So when someone comes back after the deadline and asks to add more documents, it raises eyebrows, not because it's impossible, but because it's unusual. Justin Baldoni filed a motion for summary judgment, a powerful legal move that basically says, "Judge, based on the evidence, there's no need for a trial. Decide this now." Attached to that motion was evidence that both sides had already seen. The judge then gave everyone a clear instruction. Tell me what should remain sealed. Tell me what needs redacting.
Do it by the deadline.
That deadline came and went. Everyone assumed that was that. Until Blake came back with new documents and said, essentially, "I forgot to include these." If she knew about this evidence since November, why weren't these documents included earlier? Were they overlooked? Strategically held back? Or suddenly deemed important only now? Mistakes do happen. Legal teams are human. Cases are complex. Files pile up. Deadlines overlap. Sometimes something genuinely gets missed. But here's the challenge. Courts don't operate on vibes or excuses. They operate on procedure. Judges don't ask, "Was this stressful?" They ask, "Why wasn't this filed on time?" And when the explanation is, "I forgot," it doesn't exactly scream confidence. Which leads to the question everyone is asking behind the scenes. Is this a simple oversight, or a move that backfired? Because if the documents were important enough to file now, they were important enough to file then. And that contradiction is what makes this moment so fascinating. Here's a surprising truth about legal drama. Sometimes when something is filed matters more than what is filed. Late submissions can disrupt the opposing party's preparation, create procedural unfairness, test a judge's patience. Judges are gatekeepers. They care deeply about process. Even compelling evidence can be sidelined if it arrives the wrong way or at the wrong time. So Blake's request doesn't just ask the judge to look at documents. It asks the judge to make an exception. And exceptions in court are never guaranteed. Put yourself in the judge's seat for a moment. On one hand, you want to ensure all relevant information is considered. You don't want a party to feel silenced by a procedural slip. On the other hand, you must enforce deadlines to keep the case fair. You can't reward carelessness or open the door to endless delays. It's a delicate balance. If the judge allows the late documents, it may signal flexibility, but it could also invite future deadline violations. If the judge denies the request, it reinforces discipline, but might limit what's on the record. Either way, this decision sends a message. And legal watchers know. Messages from judges echo loudly in future rulings. When one side misses a deadline and then scrambles to fix it, it can subtly shift how the court views credibility and control. That doesn't mean the case is decided, not even close. But it does mean every move from here on out will be scrutinized more closely. At first glance, this looks like a minor procedural hiccup. But in the world of litigation, nothing is ever just small. A missed deadline can ripple through a case, shaping tone, trust, and trajectory. And when someone comes back with, "I forgot," the courtroom doesn't just hear words, it hears implications. So the real question isn't whether Blake forgot. It's whether this moment will be forgotten. Do you think judges should be flexible when deadlines are missed, or strict no matter what? Does this feel like a genuine oversight or a risky strategic move? And what do you think this signals about what's coming next in the case? Drop your thoughts below. Share this with someone who loves courtroom drama, and stay tuned, because if history has taught us anything, it's that in cases like this, the quiet moments often matter the most.